Tuesday evening. It's time for Weather for Weather Geeks, the Mahoning and Shenango Valley's most in-depth weather forecast video, and we promised a much warmer day today, and the atmosphere certainly delivered on that promise. Wow, what a change. After 62 on Monday, we did 82 today. It was our warmest day since we hit 83 back on the 8th of April, which incidentally was our warmest day so far this year. We came close to that today. And what a change over the last week. Middle of last week, we were mostly in the 30s and 40s, and we had some wet snow. Now we are talking about some late spring or early summer warmth. We're a little over a degree above average for the month of April, and no doubt we will finish the month on the plus side temperature-wise compared to the average. All right, 82 here. Now, Erie was a tough forecast today. If the wind was a little more southwest instead of due west, Erie probably would have been in the mid-80s today. But west wind caught a little too much of the lake on its way into Erie today, so they stayed in the mid-70s. But Pittsburgh and Cleveland both matched our 82. Another beautiful sunrise this morning. Hopefully you caught the full moon out there last night or very early this morning if you were an early morning riser. We did not have a cold, frosty start to the day. In fact, while temperatures were off to the races today, we already were in the 70s by lunchtime, and again, 82 with that veil of high cirrus and cirrostratus clouds around from time to time today. Those high clouds, those are up at the level that the airplanes fly. You know, when you reach cruising altitude on an airplane, typically you're around 30 to 35,000 feet, and these cirrus and cirrostratus clouds are kind of at that level, generally between 23 and 40,000 feet. These clouds are way too high to produce any precipitation. They're way too thin as well. And so these just make for kind of a milky sky from time to time. That's a phrase you'll hear me use fairly often, because if those high clouds get thick enough, it just makes the sky seem a little bit kind of off-white or milky or something like that. All right, all the action this evening is out to the west. Severe weather concerns ongoing in parts of northern Texas, western Oklahoma, along the front range of the Rockies in Colorado. There's been some gargantuan hail in some of these storms out along the front range and down into Texas late this afternoon and early this evening. In the meantime, a whale of a warm front off to our north. Check out the temperature difference. Chicago's 86, but, you know, Milwaukee's only, an hour and a half or something north of Chicago. It's 49 there. And that front, thankfully for us, is going to stay off to our north. We're going to stay on the warm side of things and only drop down to around 60 overnight tonight. All right, let's talk about the threat for thunderstorms tomorrow. I'm not real impressed with many of our parameters for severe weather tomorrow. That being said, the Storm Prediction Center did edge the low-end, kind of 1 out of 5 risk farther to the east today to include just about all of Ohio and western Pennsylvania as well. You know, you're going to see me show this graphic a lot in the coming months. We like to think of the severe weather scale as kind of a 1 to 5 scale. The numbers are easier for most people to wrap their head around rather than the terms. A lot of people, what's the difference between slight and enhanced and moderate and things like that? These phrases, these terms are a little bit controversial in the weather enterprise. A lot of us are hoping that there will be a day in the coming years in which those names or those phrases are retired, and we just go with a numeric system, because the general public, those who are not real weather geeks, if you will, really have a hard time kind of differentiating between those terms. In the meantime, potential impacts for our Wednesday afternoon and early Wednesday evening. All of these are towards the lower end, but they all can't be ruled out. If any storm gets up on its feet and gets tall enough, a damaging wind gust, some hail, maybe even some moderate size hail, and there's enough wind shear in the atmosphere tomorrow that we can't 100% rule out a tornado. Now, the tornado risk is very small, but it's not zero, so it's worth mentioning, and I wanted to show you a model parameter here. We call this the STP, or significant tornado risk. This combines both wind shear and amount of instability that the model is seeing, and boy, you have to really squint to find much here. Now, there are some light shades of gray showing up if you look real carefully. Late in the afternoon, early in the evening. It's on the very low end of the scale, but again, it's something that can't be totally ruled out. We actually have that warm front just off to our north tomorrow. That warm front may be more of a focus for potentially more wind shear and potentially more tornadic activity closer to the front. So maybe parts of Ontario, western New York, maybe even northern parts of PA out to the east of I-79. That's something we'll be watching for tomorrow. But in the meantime, it's going to be a warm day. It's going to be kind of humid tomorrow. I talked about this last evening, that the dew points would be high enough that it's actually going to feel pretty muggy outside. during midweek. And while there could be a shower before the morning is through, I think the higher risk overall of spotty showers and storms will be in the afternoon. It's not a washout, but these will be scattered around the region during the second half of the day. The severe weather risk, whatever is out there, will wind down quickly in the evening, and then Thursday is a different day. This is not a late spring convective kind of a day. This is more of just a raw, chilly day with showers, maybe particularly numerous in the afternoon. Temperatures might actually fall in the afternoon. It's not going to be very nice outside, I think, during the second half of the day Thursday. So if that's your golf league night, or you have something going on outdoors Thursday, maybe that's your day, that maybe your only day this week that you can get out and mow, well, sorry about that. It's not going to be a very nice day overall. Not much better Friday morning. Still raw, chilly, gusty breeze. Maybe a couple of showers Friday, especially in the morning. The snowflakes you see on the model off to our north probably are not going to impact us. All right, so models starting to come to a little more of a consensus as far as the amount of rain. Now our graph model here, that's that kind of light blue line, goes a little bit crazy, but there's a little bit more of a consensus right around 1 inch, with the potential for some thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon. There's going to be some places that might get an inch out of any individual storm. But as a general region-wide average, the rain between Wednesday and Thursday night, probably somewhere on the order of 3/4 of an inch to an inch. All of it is needed. As you know, it's been pretty dry. The wind will go calm then late Friday night. The sky will clear. And probably for the last time this season, we'll be talking about the potential for some scattered frost. I don't think there's as much frost. I don't think it's as thick as some of our recent cold mornings like we had over the weekend and yesterday morning. But patches of frost in the colder nooks, that is going to be possible Friday night and into Saturday morning. All right, let's dip our toes in the long-range pond here briefly this evening, talk about some of the longer-range modeling. Here's a look at the American CFS, Climate Forecast System Model temperature anomalies rolling forward here over the next 30 days. It has a little bit of a cool look to things across a lot of the U.S. from now through the end of May. That's not to say every day will be cool or anything like that, but it would suggest that, it's kind of a pattern that will come out in the wash as maybe somewhat cooler than average. Compare that to the same, I brought up the precipitation there. The European model precipitation suggests that May end up being a little bit wetter than the average. Let's actually look at the European model, the weeklies, if you will, from last evening. The temperature outlook for May has almost the opposite look of the CFS, suggesting that it ends up being a warmer than average month. And I'll tell you, as of right now, the Climate Prediction Center does have a little bit more of a look to their forecast along the lines of the European model as opposed to the CFS. So there's a little bit of, this is just a couple of models I showed you, but there is a little bit of a difference between the two. I kind of lean, as the NOAA forecasts do, a little more towards this warm solution that the Euro has, with the exception of February, which was just kind of a one-off. Your smart money is always, these days, just on the warmth. There's going to be cool months, but if you have to place your bets, it's more of a risk to bet on a cool month as compared to a warm month compared to the average. All right, that's it for me tonight. Of course, we'll have much more coming your way online for the rest of this evening and throughout the day tomorrow with the chance for some of the season's first gusty thunderstorms. And I'll see you back here tomorrow evening for a fresh edition of Weather for Weather Geeks.